news with Gina.
The news with Gina Grad.
Well, I hate starting the news this way for the second day in a row, but definitely would be remiss if we didn't. Veteran comic actor Jerry Stiller, known to younger generations, of course, as Ben Stiller's father, and of course, George Costanza's father on Seinfeld, has died. Natural causes. He was 92 years old. Born in 1927 in New York, married to Ann Mira, like I said, father to Ben Stiller. He was not just known for being Frank Costanza, but he was also Arthur Spooner on King of Queens. You might remember that. Has over 80 film and television appearances. Ann Mira died in 2015, and Stiller is survived by children Ben and Amy and 2 grandchildren.
Well, it's sad, but refreshing to hear a dude outlasting the wife on occasion, so chalk that up as a victory, fellas.
That's a W.
He said born in 23, did you say?
Born in
27, sorry. How much has that guy seen? I mean,
oh my God.
The guy was born not too far after World War I. I mean,
yeah.
The cars, I mean, half the cars he saw were horses when he was 3, right? I mean,
that's amazing to think about. My grandma is 94, and just thinking about everything she's experienced, and like now having to deal with the coronavirus and like staying home and alone. It's such a weird arc to life. All the things you can experience in like 100 years.
How old's your grandfather?
My grandfather passed away.
See,
so
that's a victory.
Yeah, I know,
that's
you have a story for perfect.
Now we're even.
Yeah, Jerry Stiller was the funniest ever. I just saw some bloopers from Seinfeld on Twitter that were hilarious. I think people should go look those up. He's just the funniest guy. He's such an amazing actor.
What amazing life. And then how much better is it when your son can have that much success and you can be around for most all of it? Like, that's incredible.
That's amazing. I mean, it's amazing too when a family has that much actual talent. Like, it's not just nepotism. Like, Ben Stiller is hilarious, and he had amazing parents who were so talented that he got to watch as he grew up, and then he became an amazing star. I mean, that is amazing that he got to witness that.
I talked to Ben Stiller at Jimmy Kimmel's house once a number of years ago, and I remember this story of when I used to work installing closets. I installed a closet into a woman's house who lived in Topanga, who I sort of knew, and she knew I was into comedy, and she pulled out that Bowling Color of Money Ben Stiller parody that I believe we've seen before, or we've shared it before. Lauren probably may not have seen it, but
I don't think so.
One of the first things Ben Stiller did was a kind of bootleg send-up of Tom Cruise in Color of Money, but with bowling. So he was Tom Cruise as a bowling hustler, and he must have done that, Max Zapata. I mean, that must have been 1988, 89, or somewhere in that era, 87, 88. I was working for Always Better Closets. And
87.
87. So it's like he wasn't known, but this person had it on a VHS cassette and like popped it in. It was like, you like comedy, you're going to get a laugh out of this. And then when I was talking to Ben Stiller in, 2015 at Kimmel's house, I was like, hey, man, I saw that video. And it was fantastic, but have you done anything since then? He just started laughing. Can you find it? Is it on the internet?
It's on YouTube.
Popping in a VHS is like the original, like showing your phone. Like, you got to watch this video on my phone. It's like someone just put on a full-on tape for you on their TV.
But things were still bootleg. I mean, look at the Jerky Boys. You know what I mean? Like, my roommates Ralph had like Jerky Boy cassettes, like, where did he get them? How did we function? How did that work?
That's always more fun when you don't know where it came from.
I
like
agree.
When you were growing up, like, so exciting. You feel so illicit.
Well, the part that we used to have to engage in was this sort of forced foreplay. Like, you had to go, all right, I'm going to send away for these tapes, and I'm going to wait by the mailbox. And I mean, when they came 2 weeks later, it was a big deal. Now it's just get annoyed at your phone because you have bad reception. Come on, where's that video I asked for 55 seconds ago? This is an outrage, Chris.
This phone sucks.
This phone sucks. All right,
we have it.
We'll have it. We'll play it for you. You got to think Color Money and Cruise when you play it. From 87.
It's an art. And to others, so is cheating.
20 years ago, Fast Eddie Felson thought he hustled his last game. Then he met the Kid. And now he's back. Newman. Cruz.
Sean Mahoney.
Yeah.
In Martin Scorsese's The Hustler of Money.
What can I tell you? The boss says no.
What is
Salad
this?
dressing.
You got salads, you need dressing. This is gourmet stuff.
All right. It's a little spotty, but you can pause it, but you get the idea. That's, to me, that's the first time I saw him. I don't even know if he wasn't doing, I don't know if he was on, I don't know if that's from something or he just shot it.
He was on SNL years later in like 89. So this would have been pretty young Ben Stiller.
Yeah. But the word, I mean, that's just the viral nature of things, pardon the pun. But I mean, I'm in someone's house in Topanga putting a closet in, and she's like, check this out. And I'm like, okay. And then, 28 years later, when I see him, I go, hey, man, guess what? So that
performance really stuck with you, though. I mean, that's a testament to that video.
Yeah. Also, I remember the chick was kind of good looking, and I thought I was going to have one of those moments that I'd always heard about where the guy got laid, but it never happened to me. But I thought maybe this is an entree into a more casual relationship, a little less professional.
It sounds like a porn setup that a guy's installing your closet and then you hook up.
Yeah, I'd be like, I got a VHS tape in the van. It's called Taboo 2. Let me spring that on you, Missy. Never happened. He was 22 at the time, working on Broadway. SNL picked it up and aired it later that year, hiring Stiller 2 years later. So you got to get out there. Sorry, Gina, go ahead.
Well, you'd mentioned, all the things that Jerry Stiller had seen in that time. And that reminded me from I think about a week ago, a 107-year-old woman has survived 2 global pandemics. When she was 6, Marley Shapiro Asher got the Spanish flu of 1918. Then last month, she was admitted to the hospital with COVID-19. Doctors gave her, of course, a very small chance of surviving. They called her daughter to warn that Marley had less than 12 hours to live. And her daughter said, that doctor doesn't know my mother very well. 5 days later, she was discharged from the hospital, returned to her senior living community in Chevy Chase House in Washington, D.C. So, woman born under a fairly lucky star.
Well, good for her. But, we always applaud all these people who live for 110 or 118 or 105 or whatever it is. Do we all know they're good people? I mean, statistically, most of them have to be racist, right? There's no way. You don't get to 108 without referring to a black guy as a Negro, do you? I mean, no. I'm just saying.
From bygone days.
I'm just saying. Statistically.
How late do you want to live? How old do you want to be? Do you want to be? Some people say they don't want to be in their hundreds because they think it would be like too sad to be so old.
I, on a serious note, I've talked to Dr. Drew about this more than once, and he said, when you go to a nursing home and people literally, it takes 2 people to like turn you over in your bed and do that stuff. We have a weird obsession with life. Like, ironically, maybe the more we lose religion in our society, the more we cling to keeping people alive. Because I think it's my theory. I think if Nana dies and she's going to be reunited with Grandpa, the love of her life, then you let her go. But if you think she's just going in a hole in the ground, you go more feeding tubes and more ventilators. But we have a bizarre relationship with keeping people technically alive, even though they're not and would be dead without all this science and mechanized equipment. And we have to really revisit that. I don't think people, and Drew says that he has a lot of family members who are like, keep the person alive, like keep the feeding tube in, keep the breathing. When something is breathing for you, I'm sorry, you're dead. And I don't know, would you guys want to spend the last 2 years of your life just having two people like turn you over and clean you and all that? I don't think so.
That. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want that. I feel like I like the idea of getting to be very old because I want to witness, my family's life and all these beautiful things that life brings. But I think if I had any huge health issues or like my mind started to go, I would rather not have to experience all of that.
Well, can I take this perfect opportunity to say, if you really do feel like that, please get it in writing and get an advance directive, because too many people, you don't think it's going to happen to you, and a family member gets sick and you don't know what they want. So I highly recommend, no matter how old you are, how great everything's going, get it in writing.
That's funny you mentioned that. My wife, Christy, and I just filled that out a matter of weeks ago. We both were on the same page. Like, no, don't keep us alive artificially and blah, blah, blah. If it's over, it's over, that kind of stuff. But
was that intense to do that paperwork? That seems scary.
We just did it too. That was my birthday present to my fiance. It was one of my birthday presents.
Yeah, we were on the same page, so it wasn't a big debate. It was just kind of like, yeah, I feel the same way as you.
Yeah.
Well, it's sad what we do. And also, a lot of those people have dementia, so I don't even know if they can speak for themselves. Really, what we should do, as long as we're using the pandemic to slow down and have some uncomfortable conversations, this should be part of that conversation, especially so many people perishing in nursing homes. But I wouldn't mind if the DMV made you declare major, like that. You can put a sticker on your license if you're going to be an organ donor. I don't know. I feel like we could all settle it at the DMV in a fast and efficient way. Maybe
so, sir, just to make sure, you're in no jaws of life?
That's right. No jaws of life. That's right. Save the pneumatics. Sorry. Or hydraulics. I don't remember what it is. Probably hydraulic. Yeah. Sorry.
He takes a lot of shit for reasons that some of us will just never understand. He seems like a good guy, and now he's proving it again. Guy Fieri just raised $20 million to help the coronavirus relief effort for restaurant workers specifically. He partnered with the National Restaurant Association Educational Foundation and a few other companies to launch the Restaurant Employee Relief Fund. The Relief Fund has given 40,000 one-time grants worth $500 each to any worker financially impacted by the pandemic. Donations are still being accepted, and those in need of a grant can visit the Relief Fund's website.
It'll be interesting when we're telling tales of this pandemic 50 years from now, and I'm like talking to my grandkids, and they're like, "How bad was it, Pappy?" Here's how bad it was. We found out that Guy Fieri was a good guy and that Ellen was evil. That's what we found out. That's how bad it was. That's how much time we had on our hands.
Yeah, I was really happy to hear that about Guy Fieri. I don't have much of an opinion of him besides I've seen a little bit of his shows or whatever, and he's the kind of guy who wears sunglasses on the back of his head. I just wouldn't expect this kind of behavior. I think it's amazing, but it sucks too because we have to rely on celebrities. Yes, but it's a bummer to me that we have to rely on celebrities to solve these problems that our government should be solving. It's just depressing that Guy Fieri has to raise this money and resolve this issue. It shouldn't be like that.
I agree, but if anyone wants to pitch in, we'll take it.
Yeah, totally.
And I think we look at Guy formerly we looked at Guy like we look at magicians, right? Where you just go, that guy's a magician. You go, I don't like that guy. And then you go, why? He pays his taxes. He loves his kids. I don't trust him. He's up to something.
Something about him.
Something about him I don't like. And that was sort of the Guy Fieri thing, which is nobody had any stories about him being rude or insensitive or anything. He hasn't even been Me Too'd. The thing the thing I keep saying about the Me Too movement, it's all the sneaky ones that are being Me Too'd. All the dudes that are brosif dudes out there, the guys who you would think would be Me Too'd, like the guy who hosted The Man Show, moi, or Guy Fieri. You'd think we would be the ones being Me Too'd. But The ones that were sneaking, the sneaky guys, those are the ones that are getting caught up in this.
And Guy Fieri visits, 3-4 restaurants an episode in diners, drive-ins, and dives. If anyone's been around enough people to pull off something like this, I think the evidence is in.
Plus, and by the way,
yes. Well, I was going to say, in terms of Me Tooing, you got a struggling family-run restaurant. You know, it's an Italian joint. They really need business. You got the hot 22-year-old Italian daughter, and guys like, yeah, I may feature you on my show. It's a pretty rigorous screening process. You want to step into my office. I mean, you want to talk about the recipient of the casting couch. Guy could be all over that, but yet he chooses not to, and that's why he's a hero.
That's exactly right. And if you've seen that Shane Torres stand-up set, it's like 4 minutes from Conan O'Brien. It's iconic about why do we give Guy Fieri so much shit? He seems like such a nice guy. We treat him like he's in Nickelback. And by the way, what did Nickelback ever do to us?
Right.
Great stand-up set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I secretly like Nickelback.
Oh, see? Secrets out.
Controversial.
Show's over.
Well, thanks for coming. So this is one that we definitely will want to bring up to our sort of in-house nutritionist, Vinnie Tortorich. An entire town in New York is going on a diet because of this pandemic. We've talked about this. We've thought, is something like this going to happen? Well, the town of Huntington, it's located in Suffolk County, Long Island. Community has about 200,000 residents. They're doing it in an effort to make people healthier, especially because of this pandemic, which seems to affect those with obesity and diabetes and high blood pressure much more severely. The program was announced in a press release by a Suffolk County legislator and obesity specialist. It includes nutrition tips, junk food, cutting out junk food, adding fruits and vegetables. Program features meal planning, fitness, yoga, online classes, regular weigh-ins. So this whole town, this sounds like a movie of the week, is going on a collective diet.
All right, Gina, what else?
Well, Dawson related to us the story of the swastika mask man, and he would like to defend himself, this man in the swastika mask. So I'm going to give you a little more detail on that story. So days after, in the Santee, California, which people were calling Clanty, the dude wore his homemade Ku Klux Klan mask to the grocery store. Now we have a guy wearing a swastika mask. This was at a Food for Less, happened last week, and NBC7 tracked down the man behind the mask. He claims the community completely misread the message. He says it was 100% intended to be a peaceful protest. The only Nazi thing I was trying to say is the governor is acting like one up on his podium, gloating about his power and taunting his power. The man said he was told not to return to the store wearing the same mask. So he was just making a statement, people.
Well, he can do both. I mean, he could make a statement and be offensive and have him removed from the store. But I get it. It's not even a Nazi mask as I look at it. It's a mask that just has a piece of foam core to it and a little.
It's gonna suffocate.
It's 4 inches by 5 inches. I'd have a simple question for this man before I render judgment. Okay, this is a protest to the oppression you feel you're experiencing from the government. Fine, I get it. Did that flag exist before this virus broke out, or did you just make it? Because if that was just lying around the house, then you're out. But if you
have to print that out.
But if you and your daughter made it last night,
yeah.
No, I don't think there's any excuse for that. I think everyone knows what that symbol means, and that wearing that is going to make people feel scared and unsafe. So I think if you're not, you just make a mask that says the governor is doing a bad job and wear that.
Or you just do the little Adolf mustache on the mask. I mean, that's a missed opportunity. You got it right there. Could have easily just done the little mustache.
Yeah, he's a douche.
Well, Brian seized up, I think.
It's contagious.
There's a new thing where you do things that are outrageous, and then you go, hey, I was just commenting on whatever. And it's like, well, you know what you're doing.
Yes, 100%.
Because that's why we're talking about you.
Right. Well, we talked about, I think it was last week, how there's a big campaign in Belgium trying to get people to eat frozen potatoes and French fries because they got a surplus and they don't know what to do with it. Well, now it's over to France. People are being told to eat as much cheese as they can stuff in their gullet. This is to save the dairy industry because the lockdown sales of cheese have plummeted. Now farmers are sitting on thousands of tons of cheese that they are going to have to throw away if somebody doesn't get to eat. And
Hold
so
on.
the dairy industry.
How do you do poutine? What is
fries with cheese on
all
top?
right. We bring it all to Louisiana.
Come on, Canada.
That's
Get
right.
going,
Canada.
poutine.
That's right.
Yeah, they love that shit over there. Just Montreal or whatever. This is the best day of your life.
You're absolutely right. Adam Carolla, problem solver.
That's right. I got the roller skate and the key. We just put them together, man.
They're
Yeah.
called fromagesons, which means let's act for cheese. So I think you're absolutely right. Let's get our neighbors to the north involved.
I guess it's got gravy and curds in it,
Oh,
but
does it?
and is it big? Obviously, it's big in I don't know, Montreal, Canada, like a French speaking. But I would guess also New Orleans and places like that as well with that heritage. I think.
I don't think they'd shy away from it. I've never seen it there, but I don't think anyone's going to turn down gravy fries.
No, like my pitch to folks who lived in New Orleans, if they went like, "What the fuck is that?" I go, "It'll make you fat." And they go, "Oh, give me that."
Oh, out of my way.
Wash it down with a beignet.
Yeah, I think they're probably. I feel like that's something you could get in New Orleans as well, but maybe I'm making that up. Anyway, carry on.
Well, I think we're very lucky that we get to just like all we have to do to like solve these problems is stay home and eat cheese. It's not horrible.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the show Black Mirror, which is so fantastic and unbelievable, and it's sort of a sci-fi alternate universe into the future, but but the future that's only a few years away. That's kind of the concept and how technology can sometimes be our undoing. It's one of the most popular shows on Netflix, and viewers want more. We crave it. We're always looking for when's the next season. But creator Charlie Brooker says, in no time soon, because when asked by Radio Times about a sixth season, he said, at the moment, I don't know what stomach there would be for stories about societies falling apart, so I'm not going to work on any. Brooker says he's instead working on more positive news. He says, I'm sort of keen to revisit my comic skill set, so I've been writing scripts and trying to make people laugh. So he thinks that we have enough doom and gloom right now, and there won't be any Black Mirror for the future time being.
Rainbow mirror.
That's right.
Gay flag mirror. I feel like people are probably watching more of those true crime shows and listening to more true crime podcasts than ever. Like
Thank God. I was
Nancy
so
Grace.
worried that they would not be interested in watching my show anymore. And it's more popular than ever, even from the house when the twins are doing their homework and their Boy Scout work online, and people are still watching.
Yeah, I see. I think it's tantamount to like drinking too much. I think we're going to go down the drain on this one. Like you're already feeling vulnerable and weird, and now you're sitting around watching other my kids are quarantined, but soon as they can go outside, they shall be abducted. That's the math I'm doing. So look, God bless him, but I don't know. I bet people would watch the shit out of Black Mirror.
Well, and didn't they say that the movie Contagion and the movie Outbreak were like doing gangbuster numbers again on streaming services?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
That was kind of insane. Like the second we were all in lockdown, everyone was watching those movies. I couldn't do it myself. It feels surreal, but yeah.
Were people looking for survival tips? Were they?
Yeah, maybe.
Or and also, was there some rogue group that watched the shit out of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, like who just went the other direction? Like
That's me. Yeah,
I think those people are healthier, not just because they're on my screen. I would say that. I would say that anyway, because there is two takes on this, which is I'm going to watch something that's going to actually make this worse, but there's a morbid curiosity, and then there's people that are like, I want to go outside and Dick Van Dyke in a flying car.
It is so funny you should say this, because I was just having this conversation with my one of my best friends who happens to be gay and work in musicals, Adam. But I told him between all the old classics, Carousel, Oklahoma, The Music Man, South Pacific, all these ones, I'm like, yawn, boring, never interested in my musical career because they weren't flashy. I crave wholesome Americana. I watched Robert Preston's Music Man 3 times last week. I can't get enough of this wholesome classic stuff, which I never really cared about and had time for, the stomach for before. I need it.
I got into my car with my son over the weekend, started driving, put it on the 40s channel. Like, I used to just listen to like 60s or classic rock, but I'm so with you. I put it on the 40s where they're talking about life is gay and I don't know, all this stuff.
Life is a ball of cherry.
And Judy Garland was singing about clang, clang, clang went the trolley. And I was like, yeah, we're live.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime gal.
Yeah.
It's kind of perfect that when you're like driving on these streets and it feels so dystopic, like having some music like that, it's almost like an episode of Black Mirror, just floating in your own car with nobody around you. Super weird.
Yeah, and you could listen to 9 Inch Nails, but I think that would actually
We're living it.
Exacerbate it. All right, let's bring it home, Gina Grad.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Gina Grad. That was the news with Gina Grad.